All right. Last week, I reported in my newsletter that everyone should subscribe to that the Jazz were open to trading former All-Star forward Lauri Markkanen. There was some denial reporting out there. No surprise there, but I stand by mine. The Jazz were deep in talks to trade Markkanen last summer before he signed an extension that effectively made him untradeable last year. Now, here we go again. The Jazz are younger even, with Ace Bailey as part of that mix. They are rebuilding. And there is, in my opinion, nothing that Lauri Markkanen can do that will keep this team out of the Western Conference basement. So I guess two questions for you. Do you think the Jazz should be proactive in trying to trade Lauri Markkanen, who's now in, year two of, or I guess he's in year one of the max extension that he signed? Should they be proactive in looking to trade him? And what are the teams out there that should be proactive in trying to acquire him?
They should be proactive. I'm not sure how they ended up in this situation to begin with, because again, you have a team that for large sections of the last few seasons hasn't been trying to win. How do we say this delicately?
They've been tanking.
They've had other goals besides winning, like player development. How was that? Was that good?
Capture the flag.
I don't understand then why you made the personnel decisions you've made around Markkanen, but certainly I would think now you would want to make different ones. I'm looking at my list here of teams. So look, we've had Golden State linked for a while. I don't see that obviously.
No, that ship's
happening,
sailed.
Right? So I'm just looking at teams we've had in the past. Your favorite Phoenix Suns, who I know you love that roster and think they're only going to succeed.
I don't know what that does
from
for
now
Phoenix, though. Like, where does Lauri Markkanen get Phoenix? Putting aside what they'd have to give up because they don't have a lot of draft picks to deal, like, where does that get them? Like, that puts them right back on the same hamster wheel that Matt Ishbia put them on, where they were just like this second, third tier team fighting for a playoff spot via the play-in. Detroit I love. Okay. Detroit was number one on my list.
Okay.
The Pistons, they'd have to give up Jaden Ivey.
Yes.
And Jaden Ivey's a really good player, but it should be noted that Detroit played really well last year when Jaden Ivey went out. So you've shown that you can win without him. And you've got some young stars there in that backcourt. Cade Cunningham, obviously there. Oscar Thompson on the rise that could fill in some of those gaps. And you signed some guys. Karis LeVert is there. Duncan Robinson is there. You got some depth in that team. I think a guy like Markkanen as a floor spacing 4-5 for Detroit, which doesn't really have that right now. Like, I don't know. I saw Isaiah Stewart shooting threes in the offseason. He's not really that guy. Jalen Duren, another big physical guy. They don't have that type of player in that mix. And it goes back to something we talked about with Orlando over the last couple of weeks. The Magic, they went all in on Desmond Bane because they know a player like Desmond Bane can make a difference in the Eastern Conference. A player like Lauri Markkanen with Cade Cunningham and some of the other pieces that are in Detroit, that guy can make a difference in the Eastern Conference. I don't know if they can win it with that group, at least not this year, but Markkanen's 28, so he's not like you're giving yourself a mid-30s kind of guy. You can grow him with this group that's already proven to be that middle of the pack type contender. So I love that deal for Detroit.
Yeah, that's where, if I'm Detroit, they're the ones where I would be willing to make that investment. But it's a strange contract to be taking on, don't you think, for what you're getting?
Well, it is. I think one of the reasons I'm very pro Utah trading Markkanen is because his numbers went down last year. And when I talk to people around him, one of the things that comes up is that it was just really hard for him to get motivated.
How are you supposed to, first of all, you're being sat right and left. How are you supposed to play with any desire to do anything when you know that that there are people within the organization who are rooting against you in essence?
Yeah. And look, like a year before, they got off that really good start. It was fool's gold, but they got off that good start.
Which, by the way, and then remember when they got after the start, what was everyone saying? Oh, the Jazz, they should stop trying to win games.
I remember calling Danny. I called Danny. I'm like, is this bothering you? He's like, what are you talking? Stop calling me.
Right. Well, Danny tells you to stop calling him anyway, no matter what you call him with. But no, even when they're doing well, there's that feeling right now around the franchise of, I don't know, should we be doing this well? Are we trying to be doing this well? If you're a player in that scenario, I know that players don't tank, right? Coaches, quote unquote, don't tank. Players don't tank. Organizations tank. Right. I get it. I think that's actually accurate. However, you can't not absorb what's around you.
Yeah.
Of course his numbers were going to go down.
If you're Utah and you don't aggressively try to trade him this year, especially if he gets off to a good start, especially if you start looking like the all-star from a couple of years ago, you're making a big mistake. Like, look at the key players on this franchise. Like, they just drafted Ace Bailey, who's 19 years old.
Calling up the roster right now.
Yeah, I can give you all the names and the ages of the guys that are going to stick around. Keontae George, Taylor Hendricks, Isaiah Collier, Bryce Sensabaugh. These guys are 21. All four of them, 21 years old.
You're not talking about Kevin Love.
Still weird seeing Kevin Love at media day in games in a Jazz jersey. But, that's a different story. Kevin Love is a lot easier to deal than Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
Why would you continue to keep Lauri Markkanen there when there's no chance he can make a difference? Look, even if he's an all-star, you're not getting out of the basement. You're still the 14th or 15th best team in the Western Conference.
But this is what was strange to me to begin with. And also, yes, fans in Utah like Lauri Markkanen. He is not a sort of, oh my God, there are 10 stars in the NBA who can get people in the building no matter what. Lauri Markkanen is not one of them.
No, he's not.
So you're not keeping him for that reason either.
By the way, the Delta Center, do you see the changes they made to that building? They took
No,
away
what
the
they
slope. They remember the Delta Center had that almost into a dome like wall.
Yeah,
like the way
yeah,
that
yeah.
their thing. Because they have hockey now, I guess they pushed the seats back and made it more conventional. I don't like that. I like the way the fans were on top of the arena out there. But look, the Jazz are going nowhere this season.
Correct.
Markkanen is coming off a great performance at Eurobasket. Like, if he gets off to a fast start this year, there are going to be teams calling about him.
Yes.
You've got to take an offer. I thought the Jazz overplayed their hand last summer when they were negotiating with Golden State. I thought they didn't take the deal thinking that another team with an equally as good offer down the line would materialize. It has not up until this point. So at this stage, I think you got to be aggressive in trying to find a home for them. Let me throw a couple of teams at you that I think are possible. I think Miami could talk itself into it.
Okay.
Another team in the Eastern Conference, they're in a weird spot. I was watching some of the Hawks game the other night. Norman Powell had like the worst third quarter I've ever seen. He had 4 fouls in the third quarter and missed a whole bunch of shots.
Finding his way.
Miami could talk themselves into it because they want to compete every single night.
Yep.
Can I talk myself into the Celtics making a move on Markkanen?
After all the salary dumping they've just done?
Well, no, but this wouldn't be a deal for now, right? Like, you do a deal at the trade deadline. It would be more of a draft pick deal. You'd move Simon's contract. You've got some other pieces that could be there. Maybe a couple of draft picks get the interest of Austin Ainge. He has a conversation with his old boss out in Boston. They can figure something out. Look, Markkanen, to me, for the Celtics, their interest is that he replaces Porzingis next year, right? So now all of a sudden you've got the Porzingis replacement. You've got Jalen back, you got Jason back, you get all that group back. So I can talk myself the Celtics being
How
interested.
dependent are you making decisions on if Jason Tatum's playing at the end of the season or not?
I don't make any decisions based on that. I rule out any kind of championship run this year. Like, could they surprise? Could they be a team that makes the conference finals? Yeah, they probably could. I don't think they get further than that. And even if they did, I think they're getting creamed in the finals by somebody coming out of the West. I think every decision that the Celtics make has to be for the 26-27 season.
What did you think of the Tatum video that we saw this past week?
Great.
And the renewed declarations?
It was funny. I was
talking
to Tyrese Halliburton this afternoon.
Oh.
And I asked him, like, where's your sizzle reel, man?
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I'm not that far behind JT. He's like, I don't want to put it out right now.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to say you're just trying to be like Tatum, but something's coming. Like, my work is going just as well as Tatum. So I'm thrilled for him, but look, it's just not that simple with this type of injury.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. Well, if it's hard, I get it. These guys want to play. Every minute that ticks by of their career is a minute they can't get back. Obviously, these were two guys at such the top of their game. I understand. And also, by the way, the team has to be careful not to say slow your roll too much. Their individual trainers have to be careful not to say slow your roll too much because you want to keep these guys motivated.
Yep.
Rehab sucks, man. It is isolating from the rest of the team. You've done stories, I've done stories of guys about their rehab process and what it's like. It is a lonely business, and these guys aren't every day doing what they're used to doing and what they know they can do and what they want to be doing. So I understand keeping that carrot out there of, yeah, man, you could come back. But if I am helping Jason Tatum run his career, if I'm helping Tyrese Halliburton, if I'm working for either team involved, I am not letting these guys back on the court this season. It is not worth it.
I don't think the Celtics want to. Look, they have a long way to go before they have to make any of those types of decisions. And I think where the team is will probably inform some of those decisions as well. But Halliburton says he's getting there as well. But like, to bring it back, like Boston, if they were thinking of 2026, 27, I could see them flirting with that if the price was right. And the other team would be Toronto, because Toronto's has been interested in everybody. And they are pretty wing heavy right now. Mm-hmm. You could make a deal that might make some sense with young talent, draft picks to get a guy, because Toronto's historically had a very difficult time getting players like Lauri Markkanen, getting max level guys to come and play there. All of a sudden you've got Markkanen, you got Scotty Barnes, you've got Brandon Ingram. Maybe you got something in that mix. But I think the bottom line for me is that regardless of what the Jazz are saying publicly, to me, it would be foolish to not aggressively look at options out there, especially if he starts the season looking like the all-star from 2 seasons ago, because they're going to be teams, whether the ones we mentioned, somebody else, somebody is going to come a-calling with a legitimate offer for Markkanen. If it makes sense for your team in the long term, if the pieces you get back fit your timeline, you got to consider it, because Lauri Markkanen is not going to be part of the next iteration of successful Jazz teams. He's not. He's too old at 28 to be part of a team that's going to succeed in Utah.
But all of this is an undoing of a strategy I did not understand in the first place.
What, signing him?
Yes.
I think having the asset is better than not, right? Like, it's the kind of whole thing we said about De'Aaron Fox. Like, you can still, it's the same type of deal. You can still trade De'Aaron Fox.
Yes, but the Spurs are actively trying to win and get better.
Right. Again, I think it's more about the piece of the puzzle there. Mm-hmm. You've got him under contract, and you can still trade him now. Now you can look to deal him this season if you want, get draft capital back in return, and continue to sink to the bottom of the standings where you've been for the last few years.